preparing clients for Cruise 2025. And hello, everybody else out there who's out there in the United Kingdom. I'm always excited about speaking with you guys because it's just wonderful. And I've been an Anglophile for many, many years and stuff. So it's just really cool to be hanging out and talking to you. So prepping clients for 2025. Now, here is the next thing. Again, agent prep the client checklist. And here's what you need to do. You need to make sure that they have passports, boarding pass, luggage tags. Now, they will get in email form like here's an example. You see the luggage tags that are on this luggage, and they'll tell you, please print this and staple here and staple there. This means that you're back. You can either check it in or you can carry it with you on the cruise. To the left of that is an old boarding pass. Remember these, Sharna? Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you would have to print this out. Now, a lot of this stuff now, the boarding passes are now on the phone. And you're going to find out that all the cruise lines have apps now for if you're sailing on whatever ship that's going out of Portsmouth or something like, let's say it's the Carnival Magic. Okay, they'll have that boarding pass on the app now, and you have to finish it going in. Now, if you've got clients that don't have apps and don't have phones, then you're going to have to print this out and take this down to get into the cruise ship. Without this boarding pass, you will not be able to get on the ship. And you want to make sure you have this so you don't arrive there and you start to check in, you don't have a boarding pass, your luggage tags and all, then you start holding up the lineup. Okay. So passports, boarding pass, luggage tags, travel documents from you, the agent, making sure that they have everything their boarding passes, any excursion passes, any passes to the spa, etc., that they have all that. Okay. And make sure to make copies and for a computer backup of all travel and personal documents. What I mean by here is this is like passports and all that. Now, Sharna, I have something I need to ask you. In the United States, specifically out of Miami, Galveston, Port of Galveston, Port of Miami, and the ports in Florida, and the ports in Los Angeles and in San Diego, the cruise lines allow birth certificates to be used to go on cruises. This was changed about 10, 15 years ago, and they added more because not everybody here has a passport. What are the rules in the United Kingdom for people in the United Kingdom to, let's say, go on a cruise out of Barcelona? Is everything has to be passported?
Everything has to be passport, yes.
Okay. Okay. So and now I think they don't have this in the United States. But when I was in Europe last, I saw some people in the EU that had their passport actually on their phone. Is that service available in the United Kingdom?
Not as far as I'm aware. Our passport, our latest passports are only a few years old, really, and they went from burgundy red to a very, very dark blue, almost black. I don't think there's been any upgrade since then.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's something, we will keep you updated about that. That would be so cool. I can't wait for the day to have my passport on my phone as an app. I mean, that would just be outstanding to have. But just be aware of that. So that means, okay, if you got clients saying going on that Mediterranean cruise, going to, or in the United States, going to the Icon, they're going to need passports. And what I always
Oh,
say when you
sorry.
make passports is make sure you get copies of the passports. In other words, make document copies so you don't need to take the passport with you all the time. Okay, because if you lose that, then you're stuck. Okay, so make sure you have that. You wanted to add something, Sharna?
Just very quickly, I know I've touched on it very briefly at some point in a different training, but please also bear in mind that even if your client is sailing from, let's say, from Rome, which is, of course, in the EU, and they're on a Royal Caribbean cruise, because Royal Caribbean are American, it's the American passport regulations that stand, not Europe. So you have to have the 6 months valid rather than the 3 or the duration
Right.
of.
Make sure there's validity. We call that validity here in the United States, that they have validity on the passports. And this is important. And also another thing, just for you guys to talk about here, because I noticed um, this was announced last week, and I didn't make a big thing about it, but we did at the beginning of the year. because we have this thing out here called the Real ID that the United States is going through that you gotta have to on your driver's license. And we talked about the electronic travel stamp, or it, I don't know what they call it, the electronic, the ETA,
The
or
visa, the ESTA visa.
right, the ETA visa, and that is something that they were going to start that in the EU this year, but last week, I think it was about a week ago, I saw a press that they're not going to implement that until 2026. So this is another thing that you're going to need to remind. We will remind you about that if you've got people going to the EU in the Mediterranean or whatever. And also, you also need to know that if you're coming to the United States, because the United States is also going to start having that ETA visa also. So, but we will let you know about those things. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here's some things that you need to inform your clients about. Agent prep the client checklist. Again, advise the client to contact the banking who they bank with, and advise them that I am going out of the country. I will be in Rome, or I will be in Port Canaveral, I'll be in the Bahamas, etc. And make sure that they're aware of it. That way, if you do need to make purchases on credit cards or debit cards, that they are aware of that and they don't eat the card up, or they shut the card down. Also, have your client check their local cell phone provider, make sure that they are aware of that. I will be going out of the United States, I'll be going to Europe, etc. A lot of people forget about this, and especially if you have children. Children get on these phones. I see some parents that just give them their phones and they're playing games all da 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 da, and that could run up with charges and things like that. So make sure you're about that. Okay. Um, Agent prep list, the client checklist, how to pack for a cruise. There's several internet sources where you can find this information. I mean, there's tons of it. How to dress for a cruise, how to dress for an all-inclusive resort, how to dress for Europe, how to dress, et cetera, when you're traveling. But this is something you need to inform them about, because let's say that you have some people that, oh, I don't need a travel advisor. I can just book it myself and I'm going on a cruise. You see, Americans are dumb. And so, yeah, I'm going on a cruise for the first time. I'm just going to bring my flip-flops, my shorts, and my tank top, and that's it. And they don't realize that there are formal nights on the cruise lines. Yes, that's right. There are formal nights on the cruise lines. There are also like our white parties on Carnival. There's red parties on Virgin Galactic, so Virgin Voyages. I don't know where my head is today. Virgin Galactic, but on Virgin Voyages. Holland America also has an orange party. There are these theme parties that you want to participate in because they're really fun, and the whole family gets into it. So the more that you can let them know about what the types of events and things like that, they can do that. Now, I went on the Carnival celebration about 2 years ago, and it had just come to Port Miami, and they had a veterans night and a formal night, and they asked the veterans if they could wear their uniforms, and there was one guy from Scotland who had flew in from Scotland, right, and wore his I don't know, what do you call those skirts, Sharna,
Yeah.
that the Scot, what are they called, Tams, right?
Still,
Yeah, right. He was wearing. I mean, he looked like he stepped out of Scotland. I mean, it was just incredible. But yeah, they do all that. So let them know about that.
just on
Yeah.
that as well, Jose, for the guys who have already registered with, Princess Cunard, on the booking summary page, down at the bottom, it will actually tell you how many semi-formal, formal nights there are as well. So it's worth taking a note of that.
Now, what Sean is saying is correct. All that information will be on the app, by the way.
Of
All that
course.
information will be on the app. On these apps now, you can book specialty dining, you can book excursions, you can book theater tickets, you can book activities and events. Let's say you want to do bumper cars and you're on Norwegian or MSC. All of that information will be on your app, and you'll be able to do that. And they should have that. Now, in the olden days, boy, I'm showing my age, but if you remember China, right? What they would do is every morning, like you'd go to sleep and you'd wake up in the morning and there'd be a slip of paper and you'd pick it up and it would be like today's activities, and it would explain everything on there. So That's what they used to do in the olden days, and they
Daily
don't do that anymore,
newspaper.
right? So they don't do that anymore. And then you always hated that because at the end, the last night of the cruise, you wake up in the very next morning, you leave, there'd be the bill. Boom. It'd be like, oh no, the bill where I got to pay my gambling debts and stuff like that. Here's something that we have in the United States. I don't know if the UK has this, but let me explain to you what this is. This is called the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And I really, advise all my clients to have their clients enroll in this. Advise all the agents that I work with because it's free. Number one, it's free. And what this does, I don't know what they have in the United Kingdom, but here in the United States, they have a thing called an Amber Alert. Whenever there is when we had the fires here in Los Angeles, it zaps my phone. It goes, it gives it an alert and it says there's a fire or there's some sort of weather activity happening or the roads are closed or whatever, or a child's been abducted or whatever. They have that. This is sort of like the same idea and same technology. What this does is that if, let's say, you have a family of four and they're in Civitavecchia and they're getting ready to go into Rome and something happens in Rome, whether it be a weather event or a social activity like a protest or something, it will zap your phone and it will tell your client where exactly to go for what's the closest hotel that you're supposed to check in, consulate, embassy, where to go to be safe until you hear back from them. Now, do they have something like that in the United Kingdom, Sharna?
Not as far as I'm aware, and I am just having a look at it to see if there is anything similar, but it's saying that it's for US citizens. It doesn't show that there's any kind of UK version, to be honest with you.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Wow.
Probably, obviously, we wouldn't, up here where I am in the north, we wouldn't be alerted for really anything that was going on in Scotland or anything that was going on down
Right,
south.
right,
Whereas
but
guys, you travel
right,
so much within America as well, don't you?
yeah. Okay, so I just thought I'd bring that up. Okay, so all right, have the client download the cruise line app. Here's an example of a Carnival cruise line app that we just took some photos. So they'll do that. Check the travel alerts and weather here in the United States. And here's something else, Sharna, that maybe we should talk to Amanda about because in our travel cafe for the U.S., we do have a link to the U.S. State Department for travel alerts and travel advisories for U.S. travelers. Maybe I'm sure there's some sort of UK links that we could provide for your agents so they know about it. Exactly. I mean, like one of the biggest ones we always get all the time is the Bahamas, Jamaica. These two island countries are very, very touristy, but they're also very dangerous, and there's a lot of crime usually in here. So you've got to let your clients be aware of these things, especially going into Mexico too can be dangerous. Coming to the United States can be dangerous. Here's the pre-cruise client checklist before day of cruise. Check all passports, tickets, reservations. Download the cruise line app. Prep your family members, scooters, wheelchairs, walkers, kids too. If you've got Aunt Mary and she's on a walker, or if she needs a scooter on the ships, they provide. I guess is that the right technology, or that I'm saying that correctly, Sharna? It's
It
those
is.
little, those little putt that they have a basket usually in front of them, and you see them in the supermarkets and things like that. Those are available for rent, but you need to let the cruise line know about it before you arrive the day of embarkation. Don't just, and this happens to groups. When you do a group cruise and you haven't seen Aunt Mary in 20 years and they arrive on the day of embarkation and, oh, wow, Aunt Mary's now in a wheelchair. Now we have an issue because we need to get a wheelchair accessible cabin for Aunt Mary. So you want to make sure all of that is squared away. How to get to the airport, the flight, arrival in the cruise port city, transfer for the airport to the pre-night hotel. Now, here in the United States, we really, really, really make everyone book a pre-night. Now, of course, that'll be different for you guys in the United Kingdom. I don't know, like, how far is Portsmouth and let me get this right. Is Portsmouth the Carnival Cruise Terminal?
It's Southampton.
Oh, it's Southampton. But Portsmouth is also another cruise terminal, correct?
Yeah, smaller cruise terminal.
Okay. Southampton, now, I don't know how far that is from London. I don't know if you need a pre-night there, but let's say that you're coming in from Ireland or Scotland, or you've got clients that are coming in from the northern part of the country. I would highly recommend that you book a pre-night. That way, if their flight gets delayed, you know, you may not make it to the ship. Now, remember, there's only a certain window that is open and available for your clients to get on that ship. And this is where things get messed up. And this is why we always recommend get a pre-night. So make sure that they're there the next day in the morning and they can get on the ship and they can start experiencing the cruise. We tell this to everyone. I'll show you an example of a nightmare. Um, I was coming off the Carnival celebration, and it was Christmas time. And this family of four from Detroit, no, it's family of six from Detroit, had booked out to go on the Christmas cruise. It was going to be on the Christmas cruise, right? And they decided they didn't need a pre-night. So they're in Detroit, okay, and they took Spirit Airlines, which is one of the worst airlines here in the United States. Their flight was delayed getting out of Detroit to Miami. So they get to Miami airport at like 2:15 and everything is locked up, except the ship is still there because the ship's not leaving until 5:50. They're yelling at the ship. Let us in, let us in. Nope. All the TSA people are gone. Everybody's gone. So again, make sure that you get your clients there. Now, if they're departing out of Barcelona, if they're departing out of Civitavecchia or the other ports in the Mediterranean, tell them you need to book a pre-night. Why? Because in the United Kingdom, just like in northern United States, you guys have weather, you guys have snow, you have delays out of the airports, and those delays will make it that your client can't get it to the ship on time. So make sure that happens. Time to check in is 10 to 1 p.m. Agent, check all special needs and check group needs too. Make more commissions by selling the ports and the pre-nights. If you got people going out of, Civitavecchia, spend a couple of days in Rome if they've never been to Rome, or do book those pre-night things. I always say, the win-win is here in California, in Florida, Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral is now becoming the largest cruise terminal in North America after Miami. Miami's held that title for a year, Port Miami. But Port Canaveral is now becoming really huge. And what's great about Port Canaveral is you have to arrive in Orlando to get to Port Canaveral. In Orlando, you've got Universal Studios, you've got Disney, and right there, it's just like, I mean, and if you got kids going out on the Carnival, Mardi Gras, or the the other ship, I always forget the name. What is it called? The RC, the Royal Caribbean, um, not the Icon, but the Icon's sister. I always get it's not the Ovation, it's the other one, but that does 3 and 4 nighters, and we're talking about that today. All right, so add more nights, sell the port, and then book activities. You can book your activities through Viator, Expedia Tap, RoomRes. This is all more commission. Make sure that they get that. Now, here is something here. This is getting to the terminal. Here are the car rates per day parking there. Now, I'm sure that Sharna can let you guys know how many pounds it is to park at Southampton per day, and also at in Portsmouth. Okay, day of cruise. What clients need to do. Okay, cabin may not be ready. They usually are not ready. So you got on the ship, and you want to tell them, say you want to get on the ship as soon as possible, because that way you can start enjoying the ship. And they'll give you in your app, they'll tell you when you can board, and usually it's pretty efficient that you can just readily get on there. Don't let the crowds, tell this to your clients, don't let the crowds of people, oh my goodness, it's going to take me forever. No, they go pretty quick. They go pretty quick. I mean, usually the line is moving pretty quick, and you can get on there pretty easily. So now you can either check in your bags or carry your bags. If you check in your bags, you may not get that bag until later on in the day, in the night. So maybe you want to pick, a little small carry-on to have your swimsuit or whatever that you can go swim in and still enjoy. Okay. And then go to lunch. Go up to the Lido deck. They'll tell you, go up to the Lido deck, have something, and you can start looking at the food, how much food there is, etc. The activities are usually music out by the pool. They'll have either in Carnival, they have Guy Fieri's Burgers and the Shack, Shack's Chicken Shack. They got all that kind of stuff. So it's good to do that. And then you have to go to the muster drill. Now this is done again via your phone. It'll tell you where to go on the phone. It'll say, okay, you, meaning that you're in cabin 3515, you go to deck 4, section 5, and you'll meet like these guys here. You'll meet these people here, and they will walk you through what to do. Now, this is important, and you have to tell the client this. You have to do this. If you do not do this, the ship will not leave. It will not leave. It cannot leave until everyone has done this. So you'll see these like 3 people standing there, and they'll say, "Come here, let me give you 5 minutes of this," and they go through the drill. They show you everything of what needs to happen. Then they, check you off, and that means you've been done through the drill. Okay. Is that the way they're doing it now, Sharna? There in the UK?
Yeah, the last time when I went on I think it was a P&O, they actually set off the full alarms and everything so that you could
Oh
see
wow.
how it worked. Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. That's great.
it
Now, in the
was.
olden days, you used to, in the olden days, in the olden days, but you remember people would go to like the theater, and there'd be hundreds of people there. And you'd be sitting there and they go, "We're going to demonstrate how to put on that's the way they used to do it back in the day. All right. Shore excursion makes mistakes not to make on a cruise, lifeboat cruise. Now, here you have to be careful. I've always been one of these people that I like booking my shore excursions through the cruise line in case something happens. Um, I would not recommend to your clients if they're going to, like, let's say Cabo San Lucas, and Cabo San Lucas has like a harbor that you go walk around in, and there'll be people trying to tell you, "Come on to my glass bottom boat, blah 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 blah." It's only really cheap. No, you want to go with good excursions, recommended by the cruise line, also recommended by our preferred suppliers. That way, we know that if something happens during the excursion, or if the ship has to leave due to an emergency, they want to bring everybody back, that your clients can make it back. Okay. And speaking about that, I want to talk about this next slide. There is you guys, um, uh, Sharna, we really need to push this. Make sure that your agents are registered with Viator. You guys can book Viator for your clients, and they also provide you with a travel agent link that your clients can have, and they can book it themselves, and you make the commission. Right now, they're having a 10% off on all shore excursions, and this is going to be ending on Wednesday, March 26th, which is next week. And you get paid the full commission on the booking, whereas your clients get 10% off. You get paid the full commission on it. So there you go. All right. Some things to be aware of when you're out there traveling on those excursions and cities. Traveling groups. Especially if you're in the high end places of not the best places. The big cities, I hear about things in Barcelona. I hear about things in Rome. I hear about things in the Med. I also hear about things in Jamaica, in the Bahamas, and in Mexico. So you want to travel in groups. I remember when I was on the Celebrity Solstice, I did a walking tour of Old Mazatlan, and we ended our walk. And I was sitting there having a beer with a doctor friend of mine and his wife, and they said, "Yeah, we're gonna walk back to the ship." And the tour guide said, "Oh no, you're not going to walk back to the ship." And they said, "Why?" "Because it's dangerous down to that part of the area." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So they actually put them back on transportation and got them back to the ship. So, and then the other thing is avoid flaunting items. Now, this is a given. Ladies, I know you like that Louis Vuitton handbag and stuff, but try not to do that. Gentlemen, don't take that big camera that's got the lens that is the full length of your arm, out because that's just, people see that and they get, "Oh yeah, things happen." And remember to have fun. Okay. All right. How's that?
Brilliant.
Did I miss it? Okay, Shauna, you tell me. Did I
I
miss
wouldn't
anything?
I wouldn't say you've missed anything. No, as I said, anything that has come up there, I've just sort of interrupted and gone with, and gone straight in with. To be honest with you, I think that things like checking the visas, checking any visas that are needed. As I say, being aware of what validity you have to have. It's something so easily forgotten. Well, I'm only going to Rome, or and then traveling around Greece, but you're on an American ship, so it just changes everything. Um, so it's just things like that, really. But to be honest, I think as these trainings are going on, we're touching into these things quite often now. So I don't think you've missed anything at all there, to be honest with you,
Um,
Jose.
I've got a question for you, Sharna. Do most UK residents, do they also book a lot of Australia and New Zealand cruises?
Few and far between, if I'm being honest. It's for us, Australia travel tends to be more going to visit family and friends.
Oh,
So
okay.
many UK citizens that for whatever reason emigrate that way.
Mhm.
Um, yes, I think even in all the time that I've um, been a travel agent, I could probably count on two hands how many I've booked.
Mm,
It's
okay.
not a massive amount, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering about that. Okay. Well, there, right there, you see is there's my email address, josel@arctictravel.com. All right, everybody. Will have a wonderful day. And again, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to contact us here at Arctic Travel. I'm Jose Lever of Arctic Travel Service. Have a wonderful time and hopefully see you tomorrow when we're back online. Okay.
Thank you, Jose.